Hello everyone. Today I unexpectedly found myself in such a black, herbal color. Over the past year, out of 10 of my classmates who died over the past year, 8 people fell into the opposite phase according to lunar rhythms. And today, at 2 o'clock in the morning, my closest friend Volodya, who had been friends with him since the age of 5, died. They ran along fences, on roofs, played football, fought among themselves, fought with neighbors, neighborhood boys on other streets, and so on, and so on. Naturally, I immediately looked at how he had it. It turned out the following. He had two very important rhythms coinciding in the opposite phase in the pit, which affect life expectancy. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, let them subscribe so that you don't miss something very interesting. And I'm only saying interesting things. So, if you take my friend Volodya. I drew it here in advance, right? Here he was born. I was born right there, where the one. This is, let's say, the annual, solar, lunar, 12-year rhythm. That is, this is the life expectancy of a person. He was born here. He had a stroke a year ago, right here. And the death that took place here at 2 o'clock this morning. Well, to make it clear, where I will tell you in more detail, right? To make it clear, I just took this kind of device that everyone has at home. It's called a clock, a dial. So my friend was born here. He had a stroke here, through the center, through the center. The opposite. And death came here. That is, such a rhythm. Who is interested, then there is already about it on YouTube, on Instagram. There are a lot of videos everywhere where I talk about it. In the meantime, subscribe so as not to miss a little very interesting. Subscribe and share. So, this is one very, very important rhythm. A few years, I do not know, probably 15 years last. For 15 years I've been coming in every day before going to bed. There is one in Wikipedia, on Google there is such a page dead. The list of those who died there for today is there. For every 18th, 20th, and 60th year. And here I am looking. And it turns out that another very important parameter, an indicator that unexpectedly turned out to be so decisive for life expectancy. Have you subscribed? Please subscribe and like. So this is the speed of the moon. The speed of the moon for every day. When a person is born, the moon flies at a certain speed. And interestingly, I have already established by the analysis of statistical data that if the speed at birth is accelerated by the moon, then when the moon decelerates, it is an antiphase, it is a pit. This is such a gravitational impact, like on a jackhammer. A person was born when the jackhammer bounced, and he has a problem when he goes down. If expressed graphically, then this is how it looks. Look here. Let's say, here's a car is going at a speed of, say, 50 kilometers there, 50 kilometers there. Well, let it be like this. It accelerates. The plus speed is increasing, well, at this moment, 50 kilometers per hour. And when it can be 50 kilometers, but with the opposite sign, that is, when the car brakes, of course it can. Where is it? It's somewhere in this zone. So, my friend was born here, when his moon was accelerating, or rather slowing down, and he had a stroke and death right here. That is, these are two very important indicators. There are still some that I will not talk about now, I will only talk about two. So, the first parameter is this parameter, and the second one is very, very strong, here. And it turns out that it coincided with him, with my friend it coincided. Both stroke and death coincided when he needed to be. It would be very careful and attentive. Here, and in this regard, I had this idea. And should I suggest to people who are interested in such problems, which I have been dealing with, by the way, since 1984, not to offer them to get this knowledge? And now I'm thinking rumors. I ask you, my friends, if there are those who want to be able to do what I know, what I do. Write and I will consider your wish. This is the first. Second, what else can I do? It has already happened, it is already known. This is compatibility. Not so long ago, my former student turned to me. The champion of Ukraine was at one time. He already has a boy, a son, who plays very well in what, well, I won't say in what kind of sport. And it turns out that my son does not grow together with the coaches in any way. Why? If you take your son, a young player, a pitcher, he is really talented, then he was born in this zone. I was born here. And all the coaches who train him, and they pick him up in some language they don't understand. But I understand how an athlete, a student, and so on are selected. All the coaches were born here. That is, I say, well, don't worry, another coach will come who was born next to your student and everything will be fine. Your son will play. And why do I say that? Because I have from Game Sports, but it has compatibility in football, the moon and sports on YouTube. This can be viewed, but I watched the following on the same day. Well, I was asked a question, what about the other types there? I immediately remembered, because there are so many examples when a coach is very well compatible with a student with his own. And he's somewhere right now. Just what happened, did you know that? Funny how, here it is. So I took a look. Famous coaches and athletes. Well, they have been for a long time. It was a long time ago. But, if you take, there were such world record holders in walking, Solomon and Yakovlev. Here they were born right here, you see, next to. They are to this day, let's say they are to this day, well, in general, it's like two twins. There is Sergei Bubka, Sergei Nazarovic, Olympic champion, and so on, world champion, and his coach Bondarchuk Anatoly Pavlovich. Here they are, incorrectly said. Petrov, who, by the way, is 75 years old today, I have already congratulated, yes. He and I served as fellow soldiers, Dynamo worked together, here at Bookie and... Wrong, it's between the top legs. Bubka and Avdyenko are the Olympic champion and the world champion in jumping, then 1/6, the second in a straight spring, here they are next, here they are Bondarchuk and Sedek, here they are in red, these are very, very compatible people. There is also the Olympic champion Valery Borzov and his friend Yevgeny Arzanov. It was a very great friendship between them. Here they are next. There is an Olympic champion and medalist Avalov Nikolai and Litvinenko, that is, people who were born next to each other on this dial. These are very compatible people with each other. And at the same time, Vitaly Afanasievich Petrov has been working as Sergei Bubka for 14 years. Bubka was born at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and Petrov was born at 7 o'clock. That is, it turns out to be a confrontation. As long as the student perceives the coach as a teacher, so he listens, and so on. But when the student has already stood on the wing, he has his own experience of everything, there may be, and he has a place, a conflict. That is, it is not the relationship of Solomon Yakovlev, it is not the relationship of Bondarchuk and Sedek, and so on. That's why there are such conflicts. Well, there are a lot of interesting things, here, well. Therefore, I will remind you again what I said earlier. Maybe someone wants to have this knowledge, to have this technique, please contact. Let's try it. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Because I have interesting things. That's it. Be healthy.